could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, my name's Diana. I am just a student of tarot, very beginner. I've met Sora once before. She did my past life reading, which was awesome. I shall return, so I said I'd be your guinea pig again because I love it.
Thank you. So we are using the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck for this reading, and we are using this spread, A Peek Behind the Cyclops Eye. I just think that is too cute, and I love that with the inside editions is they keep the themes with the spreads, so like it fits the movie, but also usually has some fun insights. And I am going to ask that you just treat this like a reading. Well, it is a reading, but I mean, you don't have to volunteer information if you want to, but if anything comes up, you're welcome to, just however you would normally do it. And of course, if I'm not making sense, then please feel free.
Okay.
And I will ask you to cut the deck. You match the cards.
I didn't mean to do that, but I felt purpley today.
I love it. Thank you. All right, so this is a 3-card spread, and this is a series for testing spreads, but I know when I write a spread, I take it to the bare bones if people are reading it for themselves, so that if you are a beginner or want something smaller, you can start from there and then add on. So I'm going to add on my usual frills. So we're going to start with a signifier. Yeah, signifier is a card that represents you at this moment. And that is the 6 of Needles or the 6 of Swords. That is a card of transition, moving. Usually it's more of an emotional move, but it is funny given what we were just talking about. It is usually more of the move in terms of like processing, kind of moving forward. Okay. It's the having healed over in like the 4. It's right. That acceptance, like we get hurt or have that kind of issue in the 3. With the 4 we get that moment to rest and heal. In the 5 we have kind of that, but what do I do now? And in the 6 we're actually doing what we're doing now. We're moving forward. And I love because she's stitching herself back up. If you've seen the movie, that's that whole throwing herself out of the tower because she has made her decision and now she's just patching it up so she can actually get on with her decision. I love that. So but it is a card of transition and moving. It's, to me, I think of it as like the mini death card because it's new chapters. And it's not necessarily a blank slate, like starting over, but it's also not dragging all of the stuff from before. Sure. So it's a new chapter, a new addition to your story. And we have our first card from here is the Eye. And this is representing what appears to be going on, to see the perception of a situation. And that's the 8 of Needles. Again, sewing herself up. She does a lot of that. The 8 usually shows up when we are feeling trapped. Having it with the 6, it feels less like the trapped and stuck in the rotation, like in the cycle, and more just that waiting to actually start executing things. The 8 is usually shown with a blindfold, and blindfolds for me in the tarot are very much mental blocks. Whereas she's actually doing the work, like she's figured out where she's going. She just has to deal with all of the loose ends first. So she's sewing her arm back on, but there is that, usually the person's waiting to figure out what the next step is because all they can feel is the rope. And if they move, they feel the swords. But once the blindfold's off, you can see that the ropes aren't that tight and the swords usually either have some space between them or there's some way that she could just move around them once she can see it. Where Sally is here, she maybe picked the most dramatic way out of the tower, but she'd already seen her way out. Like, she may still feel like she's stuck in the cycle because she has to go back, but it is more of a... I just feel like she has a lot more agency than most Eight of Swords. And that's why I feel that this kind of leans more into that leaning of like, yes, we're ready, but there's still going to be some pieces and there's still going to be things that you have to keep coming back to even though you've technically moved on. The next is What's Hidden. And this card shows the nature of an important hidden aspect of the situation, which may help with those leftover pieces. Come on. And that is the tower. The tower. For those of you who are newer to tarot, or who only watch certain readers, because a lot of readers will just be like, oh, you have a surprise. The tower is a surprise, but it's usually an unwanted one. The thing about that, though, is that the tower clears out the things that shouldn't be there anymore, so you have space for the things that you do want, which is why a lot of readers are like, oh, this is great. Because a lot of readers forget that people who are not readers don't understand that it's a good card long term.
Yep.
But in the moment, you tend to be like, that said, this is Sally's tower that she was stuck in. And she's thrown herself out of it and she has to come back. To me, that almost feels like a callback as to like, yeah, probably some stuff needs to be cleared. Or the perception is that some things need to be cleared. Looking how it fits in the spread, it actually almost says like, are we maybe just trying to get rid of stuff that is working? There's the whole baby, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater thing where it's like, this is bad. We're done with this. So it's almost asking you to pick through the rubble and maybe find a couple of gems to pull to keep. Because there's a reason she needs to keep coming back. And as a... How did they word it? The What's Hidden. Yeah, to me that makes it more like the shadow card where it's like that. The things that need to come to the surface. I would say that, like, yes, stuff's got to go. But maybe not in all fail swoop. Like, maybe not in the crashing down we think of the tower. Because usually we think of it as something coming and completely destroying your life for a minute. And then you're like, oh, no, that was not good. Right. That was not going to work. So usually we say, hey, what feels like it's going well in your life? Maybe you can find the crack and give it a good patching.
That's helpful.
This is almost like, hey, that crack maybe not as big as you think.
Okay.
Or at the very least, like, yes, clear it out, but be intentional about it. Don't just walk away. See what you can take with it. Okay. Then we have advice. Always love advice. I'm going to add an extra card after this. This is the Seven of Candles or the Seven of Wands. I don't love in general when they change the suit names, but I do feel like they did a really good job with these.
It's fire.
Yeah, I feel like they match up the elements well enough. And the names aren't so different that you have to really think about it. The Seven of Candles or the Seven of Wands is about standing your ground. And that is less about like getting into a fight or disagreement and more when somebody comes to tell you that you should be doing something differently. Not.
Right.
Essentially, so I used to be a wedding planner and I have told the story on this before, but that's fine. It's a really good way to match up with this card, so it's what I do. But one of the things I would tell my couples is you are going to be getting a lot of advice, because this is a big important moment, and a lot of people wish they'd done something differently, or they really love theirs and they want to share that. Like, this advice isn't coming from a place of saying that you're wrong or anything like that. They're trying to be helpful, but it is, at the end of the day, still your wedding. So get used to, instead of being like, no, we're not doing that, say something like, thank you so much. Yeah. I'll look into it. And then never doing anything with it. Yeah. That's how I see the Seven of Wands. It's less standing your ground like, no, you can't tell me what to do, and more like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna keep going this way. Yeah. And the reason for that is the wands, the fire, is vision. And you can accomplish goals by following the map, by following the playbook, because that's how everybody works. It makes sense. It's a formula. Visions can't be formulaic because there's usually something specifically different about it. That's why you want that, and not just like, oh, I'd like to be successful. I would like this much money. I would like, usually a vision, you're like, I need this. And maybe it's similar to things other people have done, but it is rarely, I want that. Right. It is usually, I want this. Yeah. And you won't be able to get there by following an exact same path, or there'd already be somebody who's done it. People get nervous when you get off the path, and they try to help. So, yes, if they continue to push and push, then you can be like, okay, back off. And that's when we get, the stick fighting part of the stick. Right. But for the most part, it's just that understanding that people think they're being helpful, even though they very much are not.
Great story for that card. Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you. So I am going to add a, next step, just because there is so much transition. Less because I think there's anything wrong with the spread. I think the spread is great. And with a lot of situations, that would be enough. I think, if you're a beginner reader, just take the 3 and you can do a lot with it. But because we do have a lot of things about transition and trying to take the right things with you, I just did a next step. Being nosy, really. We were talking about this one earlier. This is the 4 of Needles. Let's see. Put that there. Or the 4 of Swords. That is a card of rest. And really, it's a card of recovery. It's rest and meditation, but it, because of its place in the cycle, really is the card of healing. And it's really the card almost just after the healing. Or it's that calm moment where you can just, maybe not starting an adventure yet. And there's usually still some rest, but it's less the processing where you're going through everything over and over again, and more where you're just kind of accepting who you are in the moment before you start off with a new adventure, letting all that integration happen, and so you're not just jumping from thing to thing. You're like, okay, I've processed it, I've healed, how have I changed? Because if we don't pay attention to the things that are different about us, then we still tend to behave as though we hadn't gone through all of that. And so that's where we tend to get some disconnect. And so it's just that, enjoying who you are. I love you're wearing the colors of the deck, but your card of rest and meditation is the same as the mat, the yoga mat. This is really well planned, considering you didn't even know which decks I was bringing.
Totally did this on purpose.
I love that. So we're going to finish up with the shadow. That's just the bottom of the deck. That is a hidden elements, but where this card is specifically the hidden elements for this situation, this is kind of for the whole spread, just kind of wrapping up any loose ends. And we have the Empress. Oh. I love her as the Empress because she's the mom. Wow. So the Empress is known as the mother in the tarot. She's the divine feminine. She's fertility. But the thing about fertility in the tarot is that she is creation. Fertility is more about loving something so much that you put it out there as whatever you call your baby. Yes, your actual baby, but also anything like that vision that you are nurturing. Yeah. It's anything like that you were taking care of. But I do feel like she sometimes gets reduced into just being compassionate and caring and like able to make things and like creativity, creation, making things, but like creation is powerful.
Sure. Yeah.
And with creation in most cultures comes destruction. Back to the tower, it is kind of all within her what happens and what does, she has the power to make this happen, to make her world what she wants it to be. And she is often seen as like the output aspect of that, versus the actual whole thing, like really she encompasses all of that for herself, within herself. She doesn't actually need other cards to help that happen. Actually, I really love her with how we looked at the tower almost being flipped. Because she's like, I'm going to destroy what I want to. And it's like, well, maybe make sure that you have some pieces that you can use towards your vision. That's true. Like, yes, moving forward is a good thing. Yes, you want to be, but we don't have to leave everything in the dust if there's good things that we can bring with us.
It totally sounds like things, like how I would do it. This is very,
I love it.
This is very helpful. Well, also because I have been getting lots of swords lately in my own daily, like, card pools.
Nice.
And then I'm transitioning to, like, a new job, too. So a lot of things are, like... But also I just took that resolutions class. So I'm doing a lot of that, like, assessments and things for myself. And I can see myself being like, fine, everything goes. And being very harsh, you know what I mean? So I like, this is very telling.
Oh. What do you think of the spread? I mean, I know I changed. I'm like, we're going to test it, and then I changed it.
No, I like it, because that also, I'm very much a beginner, so it lets me see things. I really like it. I think I like the signifier card, too.
Awesome.
Like, first, and then with the rest of it. That's cool.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.